For months, my life had been reduced to a cycle of constant pleading. I begged my wife for attention, for kindness, for even a sliver of her time. Each day felt like a tightrope walk, waiting for her approval, craving affection that never came. No matter what I tried, it was never enough. If I stayed late at work, she accused me of neglecting her. If I came home early, she claimed I lacked ambition. I tried everything. Cooking her favorite meals, surprising her with small gestures, planning outings, but she dismissed it all as if it carried no meaning. Slowly, I began losing sight of who I once was. The confident man I used to be had been replaced by someone worn out, drained, and desperate. Every disagreement ended the same way, me apologizing, even when I wasn't at fault, just to keep the peace. I mistook that for love, sacrificing myself so she could stay content. In reality, I had become nothing more than her shadow, existing only to serve her moods. But this morning, something inside me broke. She asked me to iron her clothes before work. Normally, I would have jumped to it, hoping for even the smallest smile. This time, I didn't move. I sat at the table, sipping my tea, scrolling through my phone. For the first time in years, I ignored her request. Her reaction was immediate. "Did you hear me?" she snapped. I nodded but stayed seated. Her eyes widened. This wasn't the man she knew. She left the shirt crumpled on the bed, slammed the bathroom door, and disappeared inside. I kept drinking my tea, silent and steady. Later that morning, she asked me to run an errand for her mother. Normally, I would have gone without hesitation. Instead, I calmly said, "I'm busy today. You can handle it." The look on her face was unforgettable, a mix of shock, irritation, and something close to fear. It was the first time she realized I was no longer her servant. The rest of the day, she tested me with little demands. Fetch water, fix her charger, call the plumber. Each time, I refused with quiet firmness. No shouting, no insults, just controlled, steady not now. That silence spoke louder than any argument I'd ever had. By evening, the atmosphere in the house had shifted. She paced the rooms, clearly unsettled, stealing nervous glances at me, trying to understand what had changed. Finally, she asked, "What's wrong with you today?" For once, I didn't plead, didn't explain. I looked her in the eye and said, "I'm tired of being the only one who fights for this marriage." Her lips parted to argue, but no words came. She wasn't ready for this version of me, the man who no longer begged for her affection or forgiveness. The silence between us grew heavy. She tried to drown it out with the TV, buried herself in her phone, pretended she didn't care, but her body language betrayed her. She wasn't used to being ignored. She wasn't used to me putting myself first. When dinner rolled around, she asked if I was going to cook. I told her I'd already eaten outside. Her face fell. For years, I had ensured she always had a meal waiting. But that night, I did nothing. She cooked for herself, slamming pans around, but the panic in her movements was obvious. That night in bed, her voice softened. "You've been distant today. Are you upset with me?" I turned to her calmly. "I'm not upset. I'm just done begging. I'm done living as if I'm the only one trying." She stared at me like I was a stranger. She tried defending herself, claiming I was overreacting, insisting she'd never asked me to beg. But I reminded her of every time she dismissed my efforts, every kindness she brushed aside, every moment she made me feel small. She knew I wasn't lying. Her silence betrayed her. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't plead. I simply laid out the truth and let the silence linger. In that silence, she finally realized she might lose me if nothing changed. She turned away, pretending to sleep, while I lay awake feeling something I hadn't felt in years, freedom. For the first time, I wasn't burdened by the need for her approval. I had reclaimed a piece of myself, and it felt powerful. Tomorrow was uncertain. Maybe she would change, maybe not. But one thing was clear. I would never return to begging. She noticed today. Tomorrow she would understand. The next morning, I left early without saying much. I ignored her calls throughout the day. That evening, I came home and handed her an envelope. Inside were separation papers. Her hands trembled, her eyes wide with disbelief and fear. She begged me to talk, but this time I was silent. The man who once pleaded for her love no longer existed. I packed my belongings slowly while she watched, powerless to stop me. "You'll regret this," she whispered. I smiled and answered, "No. I've already regretted staying too long." As I walked out, a weight lifted from my shoulders. For the first time in years, I wasn't begging. I was free.